Hi, I'm Kylie Saunders, the host of the Trybes That Thrive podcast series. Join me as I sit down with some special guests, of course, all interesting people, to discuss the top 5 priorities that impact HR and leadership, all with a bent on wellness. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and please don't miss the show. There'll be lots of juicy bits in there for you. See you soon.
Hi, my name's Kylie Saunders and I'm the founder and managing director at Tribe, and I'm so delighted to have Cyrus D'Cruz, our director here of the Tribe, with me today. And we're really talking about the top 5 priorities that are influencing HR directors for 2023. And of course, one of those key priorities is still recruitment. Cyrus and I have had a very long and distinguished career. I know it doesn't look like it, but we have.
We started when we were 5.
That's right, in the recruitment game. And there's been lots of evolution over time. So we're just really going to share some of the, observations and experience in terms of what the considerations might be for businesses really looking at their recruitment strategy into this year and beyond. So, Cy, the models have changed over time, right? So, contingent labour versus permanent, placements, getting augmentation of skills in to deliver pockets of work. I mean, what's been your observation over time?
So over our 20 odd years in the industry, Kai, absolutely. Models are continuously changing. Priorities around recruitment are continuously changing. But at the core of all of it, and I think this is why talent and recruitment's always in the top 5 agendas for HR, in that people and the ability to attract people, engage them in your business, retain them in your business, and have them become more productive and grow within your business is the biggest competitive advantage any organisation has. So all companies have the same access to minerals and technology and finance and what have you. Those who can compete best for the talent will win, and they will thrive, and they will succeed. So I think the trend of having talent and recruitment in the top 5 agendas for HR
is not surprising.
No. And it will always, in my view, be there, regardless of what may come.
Yeah,
And I think with the models around recruitment, at any iteration, it's all about contingent labour and flexible workforce. At other points, it's all about securing your full-time staff and engaging them solely for your organisation. Sometimes it's around having blended models where you've got part-timers completing work together, off-site, on-site. It's going to continuously change. To me, they're all just levers to address the core priority for an organisation, which is ensuring they've got the right talent equipped and engaged at any point in time so that they can succeed and compete.
Absolutely. And, this kind of leads really into one of the, I think, key considerations, which is definitely around managing people in a flexible and hybrid environment. We know this ourselves in terms of our own business being virtual first and having an ethos to attract, the best talent on the planet. And we really don't mind where they work from, as long as they have access to the appropriate tools to execute their work really well, but also have the accountability. This has been a challenge, though. If we think about internal talent acquisition teams and, getting workforces back to work, but also maintaining productivity. I mean, what are some of the things that you think we need to, be really cognizant of in terms of managing hybrid and flexible working environments?
It's a tricky space, isn't it? When we first started moving into a remote working environment, I'm going to say, as an old grumpy HR professional, I was against it. I hated the idea of it. I could not see how it was going to work. And very quickly, I had my mind changed because I saw productivity lift. I saw engagement continue to improve in environments that I just didn't think that was going to be possible.
Yeah.
So, I'm a convert.
I am too, Si.
It's I miss being in a team, in an office with things thriving, but I've got to say I'm really productive when I'm working remotely myself. So I think for organisations they need to flex because there's certain things, project teams, staff engagement, team building and so forth. It's hard to replicate that online. We did it. We've all done the team drinks and the parties and the games, via Teams and so forth. However,
doing that in person
is just so much more
valuable.
valuable, and the connectivity you can build with people face to face, where there's touch, there's going to be higher engagement. But it's a balance, I think, between that and productivity, but also the demand of talent. So a foolish risk would be to demand people need to be in an office on these certain days or for this particular period, because you may not be able to get the best talent who's not available or not ready or willing to be available face to face.
Absolutely. And, skills is part of it. Like, we're always looking for people that have, really high empathy and the ability to deal with people and read situations really carefully so that they can, manage the audience, whether that's from a candidate perspective or a line manager or, a client or a board in some cases. You and I do a lot of work at the exec search level where, we're managing lots of stakeholders' requirements in terms of searching for talent. But, ultimately, we've got lots of clients talking to us around this soft skills requirement to be in a recruiting in engagement these days, to be a great internal recruitment team or to be great from an agency support perspective. You really need to not just be technically capable, you need to have these soft skills as well.
It's not about the process, is it? It's not about just processing as it used to be. It used to be about internal sourcing, and talent acquisition was about large volumes of similar credentialed candidates being processed quickly and efficiently. You have to have process. You've got to have rigor to it, but it's all about finesse, I think, with talent acquisition. It's all about how they engage and how they're communicating.
Yes.
And recruitment doesn't start with the job being open and then going to market. It starts by building those networks and those talent communities around you. And if you look at some of the really, I'd say clever more than sophisticated, but it's really clever work that we're doing with our clients, what's it all about? It's about how we are communicating to market well before we need to talk to them about coming and joining a business and building those communities. That's, I think, the future of this engagement around the talent market. It's the people centricity of it more so than the process centricity of it.
It is about bringing that human element, isn't it? And we've experienced that so much. And, even during COVID, some of the lower level roles were even search roles because we're so short in many different role classifications that we were really reaching out and trying to form those talent communities. So my view is that, businesses that really can harness the profile of the individual that they're trying to bring into the business and start communicating with some really clear employment branding, to reduce their reliance from just a knee-jerk reaction around advertising when those vacancies are starting to materialise. This has been quite a critical area, I think, that, businesses need to focus on because there's so much data available and so much information available to individuals now to research and make decisions about different businesses and, look at their reputation and make decisions well before they're even going for interview, right? So this whole piece around employment branding has just become front and centre.
And not just employment branding, but recruitment branding, because employment branding is critical in terms of how you present yourself to a market and to your own business. But the way you go to market to introduce yourself to people who've never heard about the business, who don't understand your culture or even what you do, that's becoming really critical because you've got to be able to open up those pools. And, you asked me earlier around the changing face of talent acquisition. Everything's always different, but the purpose is still the same. And, even with all the emergence, we've had a lot of people talking to us about AI as an example. What's the impact of that going to be? And, we love ChatGPT. We use it in many of our instances embedded in our business. Will it evolve what roles look like and who's doing it? Absolutely. As did the mobile phone.
As did
recruitment, as did the fax
marketing.
machine, as did the internet, as did email.
Yes.
As we've had those chats before.
Yes.
And it's and this is a beautiful, seemingly very adaptable technology that we're looking at. businesses will embrace it. Will it change the mix of talent that they have in their business? You assume so. There's going to be some roles that would be easily, better served, through an AI interface, as was robotics to manufacturing. So those are going to change. But what it'll do is shift the people, the types of people that are required, and people then start to evolve into it. The core problem's the same. They still need to get the right people. There may be different people. They still need to get the right people into an organisation to be able to compete and win.
And I think, from my observations, AI has really allowed us to develop some efficiencies, right? So, we know that candidates that are job seeking or even passively looking at opportunities, they're really looking at those opportunities between 8 p.m. and 11 p.m. at night. And so, being able to get responses around questions or, information that they're seeking, or assistance with, an application or a registration of interest, that's where some of, I think, AI has lent itself to creating better efficiencies, and we've definitely explored a lot of that. But the human interaction is really still critical, because people want to be able to build a trust around the information that they're receiving at any given time, and that doesn't come from a robot or a chat, online. It comes from actually being in a room with someone and actually experiencing that. So, to me, there is so much opportunity around technology, but it is all around what efficiencies it can create. And I have seen in many circumstances with internal talent acquisition teams that we've kind of overcomplicated it with some of the technology applications we've put in, and people are still not getting a response. They apply or they're registering their interest and they still don't get a response. Where I think it can definitely add value is around some of these nurturing campaigns and start to really, push information through to candidates and clients that is relevant to the areas that they are most interested in at the time that actually suits them. And I think that's potentially our opportunity in that environment. So we've done a lot of work around diversity, equity and inclusion and belonging, actually, and we're very focused on being able to walk the talk around our initiatives and how we coach and mentor and support clients with assessments in this space and really understanding their maturity levels. But, I am, and it's been a very big learning journey for me too. What's some of the feedback that you're now getting from the candidate base in terms of how we're dealing with them to be able to support, their motivators?
Work Tribe, firstly, I think, it was one of the key attractions to the business is that I think it leads the way in that, if you just look at our own model around how we support that, not just around, female participation, but around flexibility of work styles, mental health issues and the like. As a smaller business, we're doing a lot of that, and we've taken our own counsel, and and which I think is impressive. For organisations, I think with diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging, I think it's gone past being a noble gesture. And I don't mean to make light of it, but I think
that's true.
Quite often when we have these initiatives, it historically has been a tick box and a quota and so forth that organisations are doing, which always kind of perplexed me because it seemed like it was the opposite of being noble. It was kind of being protective or of a business. I think now, if we look at the conversations we are having with the market, and we're having with ourselves, diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging is actually another competitive advantage.
It is. Absolutely.
It's not just noble. Yes, it is, and but it's a healthy business to have. Both of us have done work with some, let's say Big Four, say a name, but let's say Big Four consulting firms all around the world, and some of the initiatives they've had, like having quotas for people that have Asperger's and are on the spectrum to a certain level, not because of pity or nobility, but because of performance, because it shifts the paradigm for a team and tests the boundaries and asks the questions that no one else is going to ask, etc. So those sorts of things, I think, are warming for me because I'm very results oriented. I'm noble. You do the right thing
You
because
are
it's the
noble,
right
so.
thing to do. But I love performance. I like things working, and I like being in a winning position. And I love seeing that is now helping businesses win and succeed.
And I think the final area for me in, considerations for talent acquisition teams and recruitment in businesses in general is just around sustainability. So, recruitment has historically been we have a requirement, someone's resigned, we need to find someone now. We are forecasting some growth because we're going to win a piece of business and we're going to, scale our workforce. But really, some of the best advice that I've received in industry over the years is to have 52 cups of coffee a year. Like, you should be, considering yourself as a talent entity and really figuring out what your proposition, so your employee value proposition is, and how you're going to talk that proposition in any of those cups of coffee that you have all year round. That's just a baseline in terms of addressing some of the scalability and the volumes that you might be looking at bringing into your business. It's, how do you really nurture those relationships of people that are actually observing what you're doing and really liking some of the areas that might sit in diversity, equity and inclusion, and or, the technology advancements, and or in remote or hybrid working. How are you really showcasing some of that allows people to buy into it, but not necessarily make a decision to come and join you today or apply or register some interest in your business today. So, some smarts around identifying those talent communities and really being able to, continue to engage with them over the long term. So, we've seen a lot of erosion of talent teams over COVID. Those talent teams have come back, and this has been one of the scarcest roles that we've been recruiting for, right? And supporting our clients with. But sustainability and
not long ago, everyone was out of work looking for contract work.
That's right. The market shifts so incredibly quickly, doesn't it? So, I think for me that is probably a summary, I suppose, in what I think, businesses need to be considering in terms of recruiting. And
beyond business individuals, how valuable is the commodity of talent? What we can do, what we're about. And I think, the more valuable that becomes, I think it becomes more important for individuals to explore themselves. It's not just about what you can do and how well you can do it and if you're faster or smarter. It's now looking at your value propositions, how aligned are you with your passions, your goals, your preferences, the way you work. Yes. Is this environment going to be right for me? Those are the questions which, are already being asked more and more and need to become, front and center for people being considered. What are they about, not just what can they do? Yeah. That's critical.
And Cyrus, we're going to just kind of play each other off here, but if we were to give...
I'm a little bit better than you, is that what you're about?
If you were to give, just 3 pieces of advice of what you would be saying to businesses to focus on when thinking about recruiting, in the next little while, let's call it 12 months, what would the 3 last pieces of advice be?
Firstly, be premeditated and pre-thoughtful around what your approach to talent needs to be and where your flex points may be, because it will be, if organizations aren't prepared or they're too rigid, they will miss out on the opportunities. Just as companies have 3 people on a short list to hire a person for a role, or 2, sometimes one, sometimes 0.
Yes,
always 1, sometimes 3. But individuals have 3 or 4 companies on their shortlist,
That's
so
right.
being pre-considered around your approach to talent, with understanding where your flex points are to be able to get the right talent, I think is really going to become critical. Second would be for organizations to have a look broadly, but especially with the emergence of AI, what is their future team going to look like? That doesn't mean they need to move to it now, but they need to start looking at, the organizational dynamics and the dimensions, and right now it looks like this. What's it going to look like as some of these things start to become more and more prevalent in our organization? What are the types of skill sets that we're going to need? And thirdly, to either do directly or work with us to put plans in place to be able to address those talent pools, because if you're not addressing them properly, you will not have the opportunity to present your employer value proposition and the quality of what you're doing and so forth.
Absolutely.
And can I ask you a final question, Kai?
Of course.
One of the things that I think drives our business with our clients and our market, absolutely, both candidates, clients, HR communities and so forth, but is absolutely your passion that you bring to work. And, we all applaud it when we get them together. How would you describe that energy around your passion and to achieve the things that we've talked about to really shift how the market is considering talent and considering their business and considering opportunities?
Yeah, it's a very broad question. I think that understanding what the real situation is absolutely key. When I started in recruitment, it was about, being able to showcase businesses, but sort of, my role as a recruitment consultant was to sell those opportunities, if you like, to candidates. There's so much data available, research available to people these days that presenting the situation for whatever it looks like, but in a very real capacity, is key. So, where does energy and passion come from for me around this is around employment branding and making those stories come to life. I've had so much rewarding experience in working with clients and individual candidates to really understand what the job means to them, but also the support and, opportunities that they've been afforded as a result of working in organisations. And what I know is good work is good for people. Having purpose to get out of bed each day and go to something that is a safe environment, that is rewarding, and I feel that I'm heard and have opportunity is very good for my health and well-being. And ultimately that's what we've been talking about here, Si. Our whole lens at Work Tribe is, what are some of these priorities that we're focusing on, but how does that lean back into how we live better and provide well-being for people and particularly employees. So I guess for me, it's really around, employer value proposition, employee value proposition, and how we marry those two together. What is going to be the brand promise, and what are the proof points in your business that you can bring to life and basically tell the world about that you're just really strong in, because that is going to allow you to nurture the talent communities and pools of people that you're going to need in your business, regardless of what that looks like in the future.
Well said.
That's a wrap, Si. I'm so glad to be on the journey with you.
Do you think it's so much better that we're working together than against each other?
100%.
So do I.
Yeah, loving every moment. Thanks, Si.
Let's go.
Thanks for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please like and subscribe and follow our socials to stay up to date. See you next time.